The South Dakota legislative session is just over halfway done. Lawmakers on the Joint Appropriations Committee are getting into the brunt of their work. It's the committee that oversees the state's budget. They have set what they believe the revenue projections will be for the next 2 years, and now they need to get state spending lined up with those predictions. Austin Goss talked to some members of that committee and has the story from our Peer newsroom.
Legislators on the Joint Appropriations Committee have one of the more time-consuming jobs in the Capitol. It's even more labor-intensive this year due to COVID. With the millions of stimulus dollars coming in and the economic effect of COVID on the economy, legislators face a more difficult task than in other years.
So we have a lot more one-time money than we expected to have, and that doesn't make the decisions harder. In some ways, it makes the fight more fevered than it would otherwise be, just because there's so much more at stake here in terms of trying to get one-time funding.
Legislators have been focused on how much they should project on spending for this year and next. Given the unknowns of the COVID-19 pandemic, projecting that far out was more difficult than normal.
I'm far more optimistic that once we get this pandemic under control, when people are vaccinated and can go back out and feel safe to go to restaurants and movies and take in a show at the Washington Pavilion, that our economy is going to take off. I'm really optimistic about 2022.
My main objective is that we have a balanced budget. That's number one, and that we can support that balanced budget. That's a requirement of the Constitution, and we need to do that.
In the remaining weeks of the legislative session, lawmakers on the Appropriations Committee will continue to hear from various state agencies and on a number of project-specific bills.
The challenge is that as people bring their projects, once you okay something, you sort of have now set a precedent. So a community next year can say, well, you funded that project, our community needs that. Then how much do we fund community versus the globalness of South Dakota?
One budget issue that could lead to headbutting in Peer: what to do with the state's record one-time surplus from COVID relief funds. I'm told there's more of an appetite to spend that cash among some members, while other members would like to be more conservative, in case the state's economy doesn't bounce back like expected. In Peer, Austin Goss, Dakota News Now.
Budget items are usually among the last bills to be approved at the Capitol, and this year is expected to be no different. Dakota News Now is your source for State House 2021 coverage. State House reporter Austin Goss will have live reports each day during the session, and make sure you follow him on Twitter at Austin Goss SD.